Hi everybody, I hope you are doing super amazing. Welcome back to another episode of Corporate and Economic Laws. People, in the last lecture we had begun this chapter with an amazing case study. This case study was about how Competition Commission of India took one of the biggest actions ever in the corporate history. They fined rupees 6,300 crores penalty on 11 major cement companies and the Cement Manufacturers Association. The reason was these people, instead of competing against each other, these people were secretly working together to fix cement prices that made them a huge amount of unfair profits. Because people, cement is one of the most critical industries in India. It forms the backbone of India's infrastructure, real estate, and the road construction sectors. Okay, so any manipulation in the prices of cement is drastically going to impact everything from housing projects to the construction of roads. Okay, so CCI found that these companies were secretly working together to fix cement prices. At the same time, they were also controlling the supply despite of increase in the demand of cement. This led to rise in the demand of cement and decrease in the supply of cement because these people were controlling the supply. So when the demand is high, the supply is low, it creates an artificial shortage in the market. Okay, when it creates an artificial shortage in the market, it leads to drastically increase in the prices of cement. And when these cement companies sold the cement at this prices, highest price, these people minted a lot of money. Okay, so we also understood who were these 11 cement companies. Okay, let's understand again. Quickly we'll revise. Okay, people. Ultratech Cement were finalized, Ambuja Cement, ACC Cement, Shree Cement, Ramco Cement, India Cements, Binani Cement, JP Cement, JK Cement, Century Cement, Madras Cement. Even the Cement Manufacturer Association was found guilty of helping with this cartelization. So people, quickly let's understand in detail what exactly were these 11 companies doing, how they did, and most importantly, why they did it. Okay, quickly we'll revise. Okay, these people artificially by reducing production to keep their prices high. These people, companies, the CCI investigation revealed that these companies were artificially reducing production to keep prices high. Demand was high and they purposely reduce the supply so that it creates an artificial shortage in the market. This will lead to price increase without any reason. Okay. Second, coordinated price increases moving together like a pack. So what these 11 cement companies did was, if one of the cement companies increase the prices of cement, immediately all of them will increase the price of cement. People, when you prices are all dependent on the production cost, the demand and the competition. These people had no real reason to increase their prices of cement. Just because one of the cartel player is increasing the prices of cement, everybody started to increase the prices. Okay. Next, secretly sharing business data. These people, what they were doing is they were using Cement Manufacturers Association as a secret platform to reveal sensitive business information where they told each other clearly how much cement they were producing, number one, when they plan to increase the prices, number two, number three, how much cement each company was supplying to the market. These are all sensitive these are all sensitive information, people, that any competitor should not know. So instead of competing independently, they coordinated the actions. They were working together based on this shared information. They ensured that no company broke away and lowered prices, keeping the cartel super strong. Next, next is very, very important, people. This will literally touch your mind. Exploiting government projects and construction companies. India had huge amount of infrastructure projects like roads, bridges, buildings that required a large amount of cement. Because these companies kept the prices artificially high, the government and the private builders had to pay extra, making projects super expensive. And ultimately, people, this cost was passed on to the ordinary people like you and me in the form of higher housing prices and expensive infrastructure projects. People, you tell me, in the end, the builder will only be left with two choices. Number one, either increase the prices of flats, or number two, it is very dangerous, to decrease the quality of the cement. Okay. Now the bigger picture. Now the bigger picture is, why was this such a serious crime? Okay, this made housing more expensive. Number two, it increased cost for infrastructure projects like roads, bridges, metro. Number three, it blocked small cement companies from competing fairly. And number four, it slowed down economic growth because of high construction cost. Now let's understand how CCI got hold of them. The Builders Association of India lodged a complaint against these cement giants, claiming that they were manipulating the market. The CCI launched an investigation and gathered strong evidences, including three things. Number one, price movement. When one company increased prices, the others followed that same time, even though there was no real reason, there was no real actual reason to increase in demand. People usually, when the demand increases, then only price increases, right? Over here, the demand was not at all increasing, even though they were increasing the prices. Number two, production cutbacks. When the demand was high, cement companies should increase their production, but these cement companies reduce the production to keep supply tight and prices high. Last, internal communication. The Cement Manufacturer Association was acting as a hub for these companies to coordinate the actions, which was a clear sign of cartel behavior. The verdict was, people, imposing a 6,300 crores penalty, the biggest penalty ever recorded at that time. People, this story proves that Competition Commission of India this story proved that no company is too big to be punished. Even top brands like Ultratech, Ambuja and ACC had to pay the price. Number two, Competition Commission of India has got the real power. It can investigate, it can collect evidences, it can fine companies and break the competition. That break the competition laws. Number three, fair markets benefit everyone. After the case, cement prices became, after Competition Commission of India fined 6,300 crores on these 11 cement companies and the Cement Manufacturer Association, cement prices became more competitive, benefiting businesses and consumers. CCI continues to be a watchdog, ensuring that powerful companies do not abuse their position and that Indian consumers and businesses get a fair deal. This was a story how we started the last lecture. Okay, now let's quickly revise what we learned in the last lecture. Hello, hello. Yes, people. The first concept that we understood was Constitution of Competition Commission of India. Constitution of Competition Commission of India. The first point was establishment of Competition Commission of India. It is established by central government under Competition Act 2002. People, I want you to scream out loud before the screen when you watch this video so that it will be easy revision. Clear? I want you to, scream, scold, whatever you want to do, but please answer, okay? Answer along with me, okay? Establishment of Competition Commission of India. Competition Commission of India is established by central government under Competition Act 2002. Next, Competition Commission of India is a body corporate. Body corporate means two things. It has got legal identity just like a company. It has the ability to sue and be sued. Third point is its headquarters is in New Delhi. Clear? Next, composition of Competition Commission of India. So people, Competition Commission of India consists of one chairman, one chairperson who is the head of the commission. Number two, minimum 2 members, maximum 6 members. Okay, and these members should be full-time members, meaning they cannot practice job, they cannot practice business, they cannot practice profession. Understood? Next, who can be appointed as a chairperson or a member? A person with an integrity, ability, and standing. Integrity means doing the right things even when no one is watching, standing by your words. This is called as integrity. Number two is ability. He should be able to perform the functions of a Competition Commission of India. Number three, standing. He should be legally, he should be respected by everybody around him. Okay. Yes. Next, he should have minimum 15 years of professional experience in the field of international trade, law, economics, finance, public affairs, business, commerce, accountancy, competition matters, including competition law and policy. Next, term and retirement of members. Term of office, that is, chairman or member can hold office for a maximum of 5 years from the date of appointment, whereas he can be reappointed. Clear? Next, retirement age for the member or chairman is the maximum age limit is 65 years. Clear? Perfect, people. Perfect. You are doing amazing. Next, appointment of Director General plus other officers. Last to last lecture, we understood the powers and the functions of the Director General. Okay, competition central government can appoint Director General to assist Competition Commission of India. Now, Director General is responsible for doing three things. Number one, conducting detailed inquiries and investigation, gathering evidences related to violations of Competition Act 2002. Number three, submitting reports to the Competition Commission of India. Clear? This is the constitution of Competition Commission of India. Clear? Perfect, people. Perfect. Now we will understand duties and powers. Okay. Just before we understood constitution of Competition Commission of India. Now we will understand. Now we will revise. What we will revise? Duties and the powers of Competition Commission of India. Yes. Before that, we'll understand CCI is responsible for ensuring fair competition in the market, is ensuring fair competition in the market, protection of consumer interest, and freedom of trade for businesses. Freedom of trade for businesses, protection of consumer interest, ensuring fair markets in the market, ensuring fair competition in the market, ensuring fair competition in the market, protection of consumer interest, and number three is freedom of trade of business. Freedom of trade for businesses. Okay. Yes. So 4 points are there, people. 4 points. Duties and yes. Duties and powers of Competition Commission of India. Under that, 4 points will be there. Number 1 point is power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. Power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. Number 2, factors. What are the factors to determine whether the agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not? Number 2 is what are the factors to determine whether an agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not? And number 3, determination of relevant market. How will the relevant market be determined? How will the relevant market be determined? What are the factors that should be taken into consideration to conclude whether an agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not? And number 1 was, people, power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. The last one is factors to determine abuse of dominant position. What are the factors that could be considered to determine whether a person is abusing his dominant position or not? Clear? 4 points. Let's revise it quickly. Power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. Power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. Number 2, what are the factors that should be taken into consideration when an agreement is whether an agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not? Number 3, what are the factors to determine whether a person is abusing his dominant position or not? And number 4, what are the factors that should be considered when determining the relevant market? Okay. Yes. Let's begin. Let's quickly revise with the first concept, first topic. Power to inquire into anti-competitive practices. Power to initiate an inquiry when CCI has the power to initiate an inquiry in 2 ways. Number 1, either on its own, suo motu, commission itself decides to investigate. I will just remove this part. Yes. So CCI can initiate an inquiry in 2 ways. Number 1 is either on its own, commission itself decides to investigate a company. Number two, on receiving information from three people. Number one is consumer or trade union. Number two, government, central government, state government. Number three, stat authority, that is SBI, SEBI, RBI, etc. Okay. Again, power to initiate an inquiry when two ways. Number one is on its own, suo motu commission itself decides to launch an investigation. Number two, on receiving information from three people. Number one is consumer or trade association. Number two, government authority, that is central government or state government. Number three, regulatory body like SEBI or RBI. Clear? Perfect. Next, what are the factors to determine whether an agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not? What are the factors to determine whether an agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not? Number one, when analyzing whether an agreement harms competition, CCI considers the following factors. CCI considers the following factors to determine whether an agreement is anti-competitive in nature or not. Okay, two things: negative effects on competition, positive effect on competition. Okay, what are the negative effects? Barriers for new businesses. Number two, blocking market entry. Number three, driving out competitors. Simple. Step by step, we will understand. Whether that agreement whether this agreement is making difficult for new companies to enter into market. Number one, whether that agreement is making difficult for the existing companies to compete against the competitors. Number two, whether this agreement is eliminating the existing competitors out of the market or not. Three things it will check. Number one, whether it is making difficult for new companies to enter into the market or compete against the competitors, or it is driving out the existing competitors. Correct? These are the negative effects on the competition. Next, positive effect on competition, that is what benefit it is causing to consumers. Number two, whether the business is becoming efficient due to improvement in the production or distribution is also taken into consideration. Number three, whether this agreement will lead to innovative skills or not, it will check. Okay, three things it will check. Number one, what benefit it is giving to consumers. Number two, whether the business is becoming more efficient or not by improving the production or distribution. And number three, whether that agreement is encouraging innovation or development or not. Okay, innovation or development or not, that also will CCI check. Okay, two things. What are the two things? Negative effects, positive effects. Negative effects: entry, compete, and eliminating. Entry, compete, eliminating. Over here, consumers, innovation, efficiency. Consumers, innovation, efficiency. Clear? Perfect. Now, determination of relevant market. So, what are the factors that would be taken into consideration to determine what is the relevant market? To determine what is the relevant market. Before taking action, CCI defines the market share where competition is affected. Product market or geographical market. Two things will take into consideration. CCI, before taking any action, defines the market share first where the competition is affected. CCI will define the market share where the competition is affected, whether it is product market or the geographical market. In the product market, physical characteristics plus end users. I told you white cement, grey cement has got different physical characteristics meant for different uses, so they have got different markets. Okay, white cement end users are different, and white cement, grey cement end users are different, so there will be different markets. Number two is price range. 10,000 rupees perfume will not have the same market as rupees 500 rupees perfume. Correct? Number three, consumer preferences. Consumers would not prefer an iPhone over an Android as a substitute. Okay, iPhone users are totally different, Android users are totally different. Next, geographical market, regional and national demand. Mangoes in Maharashtra will have a different market than apples in the Himachal Pradesh. So over here, places are totally different. Geography is totally different. Number two is transportation cost. For example, the cement prices in the village will be little expensive compared to the city because the cement is manufactured in a city then it is transported to the village. The transportation cost will make the cement costlier in the villages. Understood? Perfect. Next, factors to determine abuse of dominant position. What are the factors CCI will take into consideration to determine whether this company is abusing its dominant position or not? Let's understand this with an example of Google. CCI, what factors will take into consideration to determine whether Google is abusing its dominant position or not? CCI checks for dominance based on factors like enterprise power in the market. How powerful is Google in the market? So it will take into consideration four things. Number one is market share. Google holds 90% market share in the online search engine and the digital advertising market. Okay, Google holds 90% market share in the online search engine market and the digital advertising market. Okay, number two is financial resources. How much financially powerful is Google compared to the other competitors? Obviously, people, Google is super huge player compared to the other competitors. Okay, number three is competitor strength. What is the power of DuckDuckGo, Bing, and one more thing was there, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Bing. Okay, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Bing. How powerful are these competitors compared to Google? Okay. Number four, consumer dependence. Google is imbibed into our habits, mobile phones, tablets, laptops, search engines. Sorry, it is Google itself is a search engine. It will be web browsers and one more thing was there. Yeah, that's it, people. Okay. So Google is clearly imbibed in our habits like mobile phones, tablets, televisions, laptops, web browsers. Everywhere Google is there. So consumers are completely dependent on Google to search for any information. So four things it will take into consideration to check if the person is abusing dominant position or not. Number one is market share. Google holds 90% market share. Number two, financial resources. Google is a lot more financially powerful compared to the other players. Number three, competitor strength. DuckDuckGo, Bing, and Yahoo, they are less okay. They are less powerful compared to Google. Number four, consumer dependence. Consumers are completely imbibed habitually with Google. Okay. So till here, people, we understood everything. I hope you all are clear with whatever I taught in the last lecture and today's revision. Okay. So let's begin with the new concept today, people. The new concept is, what are the orders after inquiry into anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position? Now we understood what all factors CCI will take into consideration, how CCI will launch an inquiry with the company. Now we will understand how CCI is going to pass the orders against anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position. You can imagine CCI has found that Google is abusing its dominant position, number one, or App Store or Apple has Apple has made an agreement with the App Store and the app developers that they have to use one single payment gateway only. No other payment gateway used because they will not charge any commission, but Apple gateway they will charge commission, 30% commission. Okay. So these are anti-competitive agreements, people. Okay. People, let's make it more simple. Two situations. Number one is Google. I told you Google is abusing its dominant position. Number two is cement cartel. Okay, these people are involved in the cartel anti-competitive agreements. Now, CCI, after launching an investigation and inquiry, what orders CCI can possibly make? Okay, let's understand this quickly. Okay, not quickly. We'll understand every single thing slowly, beautifully. Clear? Yes, people. Competition Commission of India has the power to issue strict rules. Competition Commission of India has the power to issue strict orders. After conducting, Competition Commission of India has the power to issue strict orders after conducting an inquiry into anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position. So CCI has got the power to issue strict orders after conducting an inquiry into anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position. If Competition Commission of India finds that a company or a group of company has violated these laws, if Competition Commission of India finds that a company or a group of companies has violated these laws, it can take severe actions to protect competition in the market. It can take severe actions to protect competition in the market. Now let's understand what are the types of orders first. Number one, order to stop anti-competitive practices immediately. Number one is simple. You are doing your agreement is anti-competitive in nature. You are also abusing your dominant position. So whatever you are doing, it should be stopped immediately. This order can be passed. Basic. CCI can order the company or group of companies to immediately discontinue the anti-competitive agreement or abusive practices. You can also order them not to re-enter into similar agreement in the future. CCI can do two things. Number one is ordering them to stop this anti-competitive agreement or the abuse of dominant position. Number two, it can order them not to re-enter. CCI can order them not to re-enter into such agreements or abuse of dominant position in the future. Okay. For example, two cement companies are found guilty of price fixing, that is cartelization. The CCI orders them to stop fixing prices immediately and prohibits them from making such agreements in the future. Okay. So CCI can order a company or a group of company to immediately discontinue the anti-competitive agreement or abusive practice. Immediately order to discontinue the anti-competitive or abusive practices. Number one. Number two, it can order not to re-enter into such practices or agreements in the future. Okay. First point is clear. Order to stop anti-competitive practices immediately. Number two, imposing a monetary penalty. CCI can impose CCI can impose penalties on companies engaged in anti-competitive agreements or abusing their dominant position. If a cartel is involved, the penalty can be very high. Two things that I said right now. CCI can impose a monetary penalty. CCI can impose a monetary penalty on companies engaged in anti-competitive agreement or the abuse of dominant position. CCI can order a monetary penalty on companies engaged in anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position. Number two, if a cartel is formed, the penalty can be very high. If a cartel is formed, the penalty can be very high. Before we read this, let's read the example. Suppose a group of airlines, Indigo, Go Air, SpiceJet, Jet Airways. Okay. Indigo, Go Air, SpiceJet, Jet Airways. What these people do is, these people secretly work together and raise the prices of ticket in an unfair manner. For example, let's say Pune to Chennai, the cost is rupees, let's say in Indigo, the cost is 6,000 rupees. In Go Air, the cost is 7,000 rupees. In SpiceJet, the cost is 8,000 rupees. In Jet Airways, the cost is 6,500 rupees. Now these companies, what they do is, these companies decide together to raise the prices in an unfair manner. All of them say that we are not going to charge less than 10,000 rupees. Okay, it should be any airline who is charging for the ticket prices from Pune to Chennai shall charge more than 10,000 rupees. Now, after CCI investigates it, the CCI investigates and find that the cartel made rupees 500 crores profit in the last 3 years. These people made 500 crores profit in the last 3 years. CCI can impose a penalty of 1500 crores. Why 1500 crores? Because it is 3 times the profit. It is 3 times the profit. So, up to the penalty can be 3 times the profit for each year for the cartel existed. So, these people made 500 crores profit over the last 3 years. So, in the last 3 years, these people made a profit of 500 crores. So, the penalty will be 3 times the profit of 3 years. Hence, 1500 crores penalty. Next, 10% of the company's annual turnover for each year the cartel existed. 10% of the companies, for example, if CCI wants to fine Jet Airways and Jet Airways is operating under a cartel for 3 years, CCI what it will do is 10% of the company's annual turnover for each year the cartel existed. So 10% of turnover year 1, year 2, year 3. Now people, this is important. Up to 3 times the profit for each year the cartel existed, or 10% of the company's annual turnover for each year the cartel existed, whichever is higher. Okay, let's say this is fine is calculated as 2000 crores, and over there we calculate the fine of 1500 crores. So whichever is higher, so 2000 crores CCI will penalize the company. Correct? So imposing a monetary penalty, CCI can impose penalties on companies involved in anti-competitive agreements or the abuse of dominant position. If cartel is formed, the penalty can be very high. Now, what is the maximum penalty? Number one, 3 times the profit made over 3 years. Number one. Number two is 10% of the annual turnover of each year the cartel existed. The cartel existed for 3 years. So 3 years annual turnover will be calculated, and 10% of the annual turnover, whichever is higher. Clear? Perfect. Now people over here, even if a company claims it did not directly benefit from the cartel, let's say there are 10 companies, among that only 6 companies benefited, other 4 companies just follow them because they are the major players. They are small companies. They are just following what the big players are doing. So even though they do not receive any direct benefit, still they will be penalized. Correct? Next. So 2 things we understood. Number 1 is order to stop anti-competitive agreements. Number 2, imposing a monetary penalty. Imposing a monetary penalty, ordering to stop anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position immediately. Okay. Next, modifying the agreement. The CCI can okay. Even let's understand. Let's assume Google has entered into an agreement. Google has entered into an agreement with mobile phone companies like Apple and what are the companies? Apple, Oppo, all such phones of Apple, Samsung, Vivo, Oppo, all those companies, Google has entered into an agreement. So Google has entered into an agreement with Apple, Samsung, Vivo, Oppo. Okay. Now, what was the agreement? It made an exclusive agreement that your phone's default web browser should be Google. Your defaults, your phone's default web browser should be Google. Your phone's default web browser should be Google. Google has made an agreement with all of them. So such type of agreement is not allowed, people. CCI can modify or change the terms of an anti-competitive agreement to make sure it does not harm the competitors. People, because Google made an exclusive agreement with Apple, Samsung, Vivo, Oppo that their phones default web browser should be Google. What about Bing? What about Yahoo? What about DuckDuckGo? These people are massively, in fact, these people are massively affected, right? So what CCI will do is CCI will order that you are not allowed to enter into such agreements. Okay. CCI can modify or change the terms of an anti-competitive agreement to make sure it does not harm the competition. So, three things you understood. Number 3 is modifying the agreement. Number 2 is imposing a monetary penalty. Number 3 is ordering to stop anti-competitive practices immediately. Okay. Number 4, directing companies to follow other orders. Directing other companies to follow other orders. Let's say, people, a pharmaceutical company in the mid of COVID, I am a pharmaceutical company. I found the formula, I have found the drug that could prevent COVID from spreading. I have found the formula of drug that can stop COVID from spreading. But I don't want to share it with anyone because I know that if I share, people will start making money and I will lose my monetary benefit. I am scared that people will steal my formula if I start disclosing it to the drug manufacturers. In the end, I will not get any benefit. This is my opinion. So CCI, what it will do is it will direct me to disclose the drug formula to the drug manufacturers for the public benefit. The CCI can order companies to follow specific instructions, including paying costs related to the investigation or taking corrective steps to restore fair competition. Example, a pharmaceutical company refuses to share a critical drug formula with generic manufacturers. The CCI may force them to share the technology for public benefit. Okay. 4 things. Directing companies to follow other orders. Number 4, modifying the agreement. Number 2, imposing a monetary penalty. And number 1, ordering to stop anti-competitive practices immediately. Number 5 is issuing other necessary directions. Issuing other necessary directions. The CCI can pass any other order. Okay. If an online people in the last lecture explain you how Google used its dominant position by advertising its own products first, like Google Maps, YouTube, Google Flights over other third-party sellers on its website. We understood how Google was advertising its own products first, how Google was prioritizing its own products first in the search engine, whereby Google Maps, Google Flights, YouTube was advertised first, brought to the public notice first before the third-party sellers. Okay. During that time, when such things happen, because Competition Commission of India will order Google. Competition Commission of India will direct Google what to change its algorithm, so that to ensure visibility for all sellers. Google, what it was doing is it was advertising its own products like Google Maps, YouTube, or Google Flights over third-party sellers, because of which third-party sellers were not having the visibility they wanted. Google was using its dominant position. So Competition Commission, what it will do is it will direct Google to remove that algorithm that was preventing these people from gaining the visibility, so that after algorithmic changes, these people will have visibility. Okay. So what this point is saying that the CCA can pass any other order. CCA can pass any other order it thinks is necessary to restore fair competition in the market. CCI can pass any other order it thinks necessary to restore fair competition in the market. This ensures that companies cannot find loopholes to continue anti-competitive practices. This ensures that companies cannot find loopholes to continue anti-competitive practices. Okay, so 5 things we learned. Number 1 is issuing other necessary directions. Number 4, directing companies to follow other orders. Directing companies to follow other orders. Issuing other directions. Issuing other directions. Directing companies to follow other orders. Number 3, modifying the agreement. Number 2, impose a monetary penalty. Number 1, stopping anti-competitive practices immediately. Order to stop anti-competitive practices immediately. Now people, let's understand this using mind map. Okay. People, right now we understood what are the types of orders. Number 2 is, what if the entire group is involved in the anti-competitive agreement or the abuse of dominant position? Right now we were only talking about individual companies. But what if groups are involved? For company that violated competition laws belong to a larger group of companies, the CCA can extend the penalty to the entire business group. The CCA can extend the penalty to the entire business group if they were also responsible for the violation. The CCA can extend the penalty to the entire business group if they are involved in the violation. Correct? For example, if company A is a part of group XYZ and the CCA found that group's parent company also encouraged anti-competitive practices, then all companies under group XYZ can be penalized. Understood? So if a group is involved, all the companies forming that group will be penalized. Simple. Now people, let's understand this using mind maps. Orders by the Competition Commission of India. Orders by the Competition Commission of India after inquiry into anti-competitive agreements. Orders by the Competition Commission of India. Orders by the Competition Commission of India after inquiry or orders by the Competition Commission of India after inquiry or investigation into anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position. Anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position. What are the orders that can be passed by Competition Commission of India after inquiry or investigation into anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position? Again, what are the orders that can be passed by Competition Commission of India after inquiry or investigation into anti-competitive agreements or the abuse of dominant position? Let's understand this. So 2 things it can do. Number 1 is types of orders CCA can pass after inquiry. Types of orders CCA can pass after inquiry. Number 2, if a company that violated competition law belongs to a group. Okay. Orders by the Competition Commission of India after inquiry or investigation into anti-competitive agreements or the abuse of dominant position. Let's understand what are the types of orders that CCA can pass after an inquiry. Number 1, order to stop anti-competitive practices immediately. Order the company or the group to immediately discontinue the anti-competitive agreement or abusive practice. Order the company or a group to discontinue the anti-competitive practices or the abuse of dominant position immediately. Number 2, order to not to enter into such similar agreement in the future. Order not to enter into a similar agreement in the future. Order not to re-enter into a similar agreement in the future. Number 1, order the company or a group to immediately discontinue the anti-competitive agreement or the abuse of dominant practices immediately. Clear? Next, imposing a monetary penalty. Impose penalties on companies engaged in anti-competitive agreements or abuse of dominant position. Impose monetary penalty on company or a group involved in anti-competitive agreements or the abuse of dominant position. If a cartel is involved, the penalty can be very high. If a cartel is involved, the penalty can be very high. Penalty can be higher. Penalty can be two things, whichever is higher. Two things. Number one is 3 times the profit made when the cartel existed. 3 times the profit made when the cartel existed. Number two, 10% of company's annual turnover for each year the cartel existed. 1 second, people. Yes. Yes, people. Penalty can be up to. Up to means it cannot. First condition says penalty cannot increase. First condition says penalty cannot increase 3 times profit made each year the cartel existed. 3 times the profit made each year the cartel existed. Number two, 10% of the company's annual turnover. 10% of the company's annual turnover for each year the cartel existed. People, for each year the cartel existed is same for both the things. Okay. Number one was up to 3 times the profit made each year the cartel existed. Number two, 10% of the annual turnover each year the cartel existed, whichever is higher. Okay. Next, modifying the agreement. CCI can modify the terms of an anti-competitive agreement. CCI can modify the terms of anti-competitive agreement to make sure it does not harm competition. CCI can modify the terms of anti-competitive agreement to make sure it does not harm the competition. I explained you the example of Google, how it made an exclusive agreement with Apple, Nokia, Samsung, Vivo, Oppo, that your phone should have Google as your default web browser. So such type of agreement cannot exist. So CCI can intervene in between and modify the terms of an agreement. Cool? Yes, people. Yes. Next is directing the company to follow orders. Directing the company to follow other orders. CCI can impose companies to follow specific instructions. CCI can impose a company. CCI can order companies to follow specific instructions. CCI can order specific companies to follow specific instructions. What are those specific instructions? Number one, paying cost related to investigation. Whatever investigation is conducted, you have to pay cost for whatever expenses were incurred during this investigation. Number one, paying cost to the investigation. Number two is taking corrective steps to restore fair competition. Taking corrective steps to ensure to restore fair competition. For example, let's say Jio holds or Jio controls all the mobile towers of Pune or Chennai that was preventing Airtel, Vodafone Idea or Airtel, Vodafone Idea. Yeah, Airtel, Vodafone Idea to operate in that area. Jio was controlling all the towers in Pune and Chennai, whereby it did not allow Vodafone Idea to Airtel to operate in those locations. So what CCI will do is CCI will ask Jio to sell some of its towers to these companies so that it restores fair competition. Understood? CCI can order companies to follow specific instructions. Two specific instructions. Number one, paying cost related to the investigation. Number two, taking corrective steps to restore fair competition. Perfect. Next, issuing other necessary directions. Issuing other necessary directions. CCI can pass any order to restore fair competition, ensures that companies cannot find loopholes to continue anti-competitive practices. Companies to ensure that companies do not use loopholes to continue anti-competitive practices. Clear, people? People, I want you to draw the mind map. Please pause this video and draw this mind map. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. The second was, people, if a company that violated competition laws belongs to a larger group of company, CCI can extend the penalty to the entire business group responsible for violation. Okay, I hope you have paused this video and drawing the mind map, people, because mind map is very important. It's going to save you a lot of time. You will not realize it now, you will realize it before the exams. Okay, next, order to stop anti-competitive practices immediately. Order the company or group to immediately discontinue the anti-competitive agreement or abusive practices. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. Next. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. 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 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, people. Perfect. The last concept that we are going to understand is, people, division of dominant enterprises. Once CCI has found that yes, Amazon is abusing its dominant position, Google is abusing its dominant position, or Reliance is abusing its dominant position, what orders it can pass regarding to division of enterprises? How CCI will order these companies to divide into independent companies so that it will encourage fair competition. We are going to understand this in detail. Okay, maximum 15 minutes, people, then we will be done. If the CCI finds that a single large enterprise is abusing its dominant position, if CCI finds that a single large enterprise is abusing its dominant position, it has the power to split or divide the company into smaller independent units. Let's understand this. How does CCI divide an enterprise? How can you divide Reliance? How can you divide Amazon? How can you divide Google? We're going to understand this. Number one, transfer of property. People, imagine, I will explain you again. Imagine Jio is controlling all the towers either in Pune or Chennai, whereby it is not allowing Vodafone Idea or Airtel to compete in that location or offer services in that location. Then CCI, what it will order to Jio is to sell some of your towers to Airtel and some of your towers to Vodafone Idea to ensure fair competition in Chennai and Pune. Understood? This is called as transfer of property. Reallocation. They are reallocating the assets. CCI may force the company to sell or transfer its factories, stores or offices to new owners. Simple, easy to go. Next, cancellation of shares or securities. People, imagine this is BG. Okay, these are the these are the 11 cement companies that we spoke in this story. These are the 11 cement companies that I hope you understand the story, right? Okay, these are 11 cement companies, major 11 cement companies. What I do is I hold a significant stake in these 11 cement major companies. I hold a significant stake in these 11 major cement companies. Okay, so what happens is I am controlling the prices of cement, the demand for cement, and the supply of cement. Everything is in my control. Okay, everything is my control. I am not only owning significant portion in the company, I am also controlling these companies, because of which these companies are not able to operate independently. These companies are not able to operate independently because their goal is to provide the best prices of cement to the consumers. Their goal is to prevent the best prices of cement to the consumers. I am not allowing to do that because I hold a significant stake in the company. Then what will CCI order me to do? Let's understand. CCI may cancel or modify the stock ownership to reduce its dominance. It will ask me to sell my shareholding so that this company will able to operate independently. CCI will ask me to disinvest in these companies so that these companies will able to operate independently. Okay. Next, number one is transfer of property. Number two is cancellation of shares or securities. Number three, formation of new companies. CCI, imagine Google holds 90% market share in the online search engine market. Okay, online search engine and digital advertising market. Google controls 90% market share in the online search engine and the digital advertising market. Okay. Now CCI has found that, observed that Google is abusing its dominant position by advertising its own products in its search engine compared rather than the third party sellers. Google is advertising its own products rather than the third party sellers like Google Maps, YouTube, Google Flights. So what will CCI do is CCI will instruct Google to divide into two companies. CCI will instruct Google to divide into two companies so that one company is taking care of the digital market and the other company is taking care of the online search engine market. Both companies should not combine, because if they combine, they are going to complement each other, making severe harm to the third party sellers, businesses and consumers. So what will CCI do is CCI will divide Google into two companies. One is into online search engine market and the other is into digital advertising market, so that these companies operate independently of each other. CCI may split a large company into smaller independent firms to increase the competition. Next, winding up of an enterprise. Okay, people, once again, formation of new companies. Okay, people, the example I quoted was for this example, amendment of corporate. Both are very similar to each other. If an airline company owns 90% of all flights, okay, yes, people, imagine Indigo owns 90% market share in the online flight tickets. Okay, let's read this example. If an airline company, let's say Indigo, owns 90% of all flights in India, CCI will ask Indigo to break into 2 or 3 different independent companies, so that now these 3 independent companies will compete against each other to improve the quality and reduce the prices of the products, reduce the prices of the fees. Understood? What CCI number one, it found that Indigo is holding a dominant position in the market, is abusing its dominant position. CCI will ask Indigo to divide into 3 separate companies. CCI will ask Indigo to divide into 3 separate companies, so that now these 3 companies are going to operate independently of each other, so that they are going to compete with each other to provide the customers with the reduced prices of the tickets at a better service, at a better quality of service. Okay. Yeah. Next, amendment. Next is winding up of an enterprise. If CCI found that a company is abusing its dominant position, it can also order the company to wind up, to shut down. Next, amendment of corporate structure. Changes can be made in the memorandum or articles of association to prevent abuse of dominance. Let's say Google prevents small businesses from advertising by changing the algorithm. The CCI will ask Google to amend the company policy so ads are available to all businesses. People, basically what it will do is, a large social media company, let's say Instagram, prevents small businesses from advertising by changing its algorithm. It will say that any company whose turnover is less than 10 crores, they immediately remove their ads from the social media. So when such type of algorithm is made by Instagram, CCI forces is to amend companies' policies, companies' articles, or companies' memorandum or articles. So ads are fairly available to all businesses. It will change the codes of its operations itself. CCI has the power to change the company's way of operations itself to ensure fair competition. Okay. Yes. Clear? So CCI, so company can be divided. Company can be divided. How does the CCI divide enterprise? CCI can divide into 5 types, 5 ways. Number 1 is transfer of property. Number 2 is cancellation of shares or securities. Number 3 is formation of new companies. Number 4 is amendment of corporate structure. Understood? Perfect. Let's read the mind map. Division of dominant enterprises. Division of dominant enterprises. Breaking up of large company. If CCI finds that a single large enterprise is abusing its dominant position, it has the power to split or divide the company. It has the power to split or divide the company into smaller independent units. CCI, if it finds that a single large enterprise is abusing its dominant position, it has the power to split or divide the company into smaller independent users. Now, how can they be done? Number 1 is transfer of property. Assets of company will be transferred or reallocated. Number 2 is cancellation of shares or securities, where cancellation of shares or securities, it can cancel or modify the stock ownership. Stock means group of shares. Stock is nothing but group of shareholding. Cancel or modify the shareholding to reduce dominance. Number 3, formation of new company. Large company may be split into multiple smaller companies. Number 4, winding up of enterprise. CCI will ask the company to shut down. Number 5, amendment of corporate structure. Changes in the memorandum of association or articles of association to prevent abuse of dominance. People, I want you to take a quick screenshot, okay? 5 ways are transfer of property or reallocation of assets. Number 2 is cancellation of shares or securities. Okay, let's revise it using example. Number 1 is transfer of property. We understood using Reliance Jio and the Airtel Vodafone tower example. Okay, tower example. Shares can assets can be transferred or reallocated. Number 2 is cancellation of shares or securities, whereby a major player is owning a significant stake in the 11 major cement companies so that he can control the prices, supply, production, everything. These cement companies are not able to operate independently, so CCI will ask me to sell my shares to the company so that this company will be able to operate independently. Number 3, we understood the Google example. How CCI can direct Google to divide into 2 enterprises. Number 1 is into search engine. Number 2 is into digital advertising. Formation of new company. Number 4 is winding up of the company. CCI can ask Google to wind up the company if it is causing abuse of dominant position. Number 5, amendment to the company's memorandum of association or articles of association. Amendments of corporate structure. Clear? People, I want you to take a quick screen. I want you to pause this video and draw the mind map. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. 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 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, people. In this episode or lecture, we understood how CCI can direct the companies who are abusing their dominant position to divide. Number 2, what type of orders can be passed by CCA after inquiry or investigation into anti-competitive agreements or the abuse of dominant position? Yes, people. All right, people, that's all for today. What we are going to do is we are going to continue with the other concepts tomorrow. Okay. If you have got any doubt, people, any doubt, you have my number, I guess. Where is my number? Yes. If you have any doubt, please do not hesitate to drop me a doubt or a WhatsApp message on this number. Okay. Immediately, as soon as possible, I will resolve your doubts. Okay. Number one thing. Number two thing is, if you found this video useful, please share it with your friends who really don't know, who don't know from how to, who don't know how to study law, from where to study law. Immediately share this video to your friends. And if you want, next thing, please contact Hgpa Academy from the YouTube link below. If you want these notes that are super easy to understand, logical, practical, every single thing is included to understand, to make you easy to read, understand, learn. Okay. Yes, people, that's all from my side. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.